Globalization is the increasing economic, social, and cultural interactions worldwide, leading to greater integration. People, goods, services, technology, and ideas now move freely across national borders. This phenomenon has accelerated in the last 50 years due to technological advancements, improved transportation, and greater integration of the global economy. The history of globalization dates back thousands of years. In ancient times, trade routes facilitated the movement of goods and services between countries. However, modern globalization has been propelled by advancements in technology, transportation, and deeper integration of the global economy. The positive impacts of globalization include increased job opportunities, access to low-cost products, greater innovation, new markets, and more consumer choices. Globalization enhances cooperation among world economies, fosters competition, and increases consumer welfare. However, globalization also has negative effects. Economic or political crises in one country can quickly impact the global economy. Globalization can lead to increased unemployment, worsen environmental problems, and exacerbate social inequalities. Furthermore, it widens the gap between the rich and the poor. To overcome the challenges posed by globalization, the international community needs to work together to enhance its positive aspects while mitigating its negative impacts. Globalization requires more cooperation, communication, and understanding worldwide. This way, the positive effects of globalization can be further enhanced while minimizing the negative consequences. For all this and more, before starting the video, if you're interested in universal economic history, you can subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to be informed about new videos I upload every day. Enjoy the watch.
Universal economic history.
Globalization creates opportunities and threats in various areas of international trade. It has been the subject of current debates and discussions regarding international trade agreements and addressing trade imbalances. Additionally, the digitalization of trade creates regulatory differences, and agreements attempt to address these issues. Globalization has brought about significant changes in the world economy. While some changes have had positive effects, others have resulted in negative consequences. Here are some key details regarding the economic effects of globalization. Increased trade. Globalization facilitates greater trade between countries, enabling increased economic ties and cooperation. Enhanced cooperation. Globalization fosters increased cooperation and economic integration among countries, leading to greater interdependence and global economic harmony. Increased investment. Globalization allows for greater foreign investment. Foreign investors can move their capital more freely and access more investment opportunities, contributing to economic growth and development. Globalization has diverse political effects. These can be summarized as follows. Role of states. Globalization can reduce the role of states as global corporations and international organizations gain increasing influence, potentially diminishing state control. International relations. Globalization alters international relations and can create disparities in power balances. Global economic powers can influence relationships between countries and increase dependence on certain nations. Terrorism and security. Globalization impacts terrorism and security issues. Combating global terrorism requires international cooperation, and the influence of international organizations in counter-terrorism efforts has increased. Discussions on the boundaries and elimination of borders in the context of globalization are significant. They involve exploring the effects and consequences of globalization. Here are some key points in these debates. Where should the boundaries of globalization be drawn? Despite the appearance of removing borders in global trade, there are still legal, political, and cultural barriers that preserve certain boundaries. These barriers are in place to protect a country's economic and political interests. However, some argue that these barriers should be eliminated to foster a more open and fair globalization. Will international cooperation increase, or will differences in interests among countries grow as a result of globalization? While globalization increases economic, political, and social interactions between countries, it can also exacerbate differences in interests among nations and disrupt power balances. Does globalization diminish or enhance cultural diversity? While globalization increases cultural interactions worldwide, it can also lead to the dominance of certain cultures over others. Some argue that globalization diminishes cultural diversity and leads to the erosion of local cultures, while others claim that globalization can enhance cultural diversity and promote greater interaction among different cultures. Global trade is one of the oldest activities in human history. It began with the exchange of goods and services during hunting and gathering activities. The earliest recorded trade records date back to around 2000 BCE in Mesopotamia, where trade was conducted primarily between Asia, Africa, and Europe. During the Middle Ages, trade activities began to flourish, particularly in Europe. Maritime trade, especially among Italian city-states, expanded. Explorers like Marco Polo discovered trade routes to Asia, significantly increasing trade between the East and the West. After Spanish and Portuguese navigators discovered the Americas, they further expanded trade by bringing valuable raw materials from the New World to Europe. With the Industrial Revolution, production increased in Europe and America, and the trade of industrial goods rapidly expanded. By the late 19th century, the United Kingdom emerged as a leading global trading power. The UK sourced raw materials from its colonies in Asia and Africa, processed them, and sold the finished products globally, thus increasing trade volume. The outbreak of World War I in the early 20th century had a negative impact on global trade. Trade volumes decreased, and protectionist policies became prevalent. After World War II, the global economy, led by the United States, revived global trade. The 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement fixed the value of the US dollar to gold and pegged other currencies to the dollar to promote international trade and economic stability. Globalization and increased trade create various opportunities and threats for businesses and countries. Opportunities. Global trade enables businesses to reach a wider customer base and expand into international markets, contributing to business growth and increased profitability. Global trade provides consumers with a broader range of products and lowers prices, offering more options and affordable prices. Global trade promotes economic cooperation among countries, fostering economic development and improving the well-being of businesses and nations. Threats. Global trade can weaken domestic industries and labor rights. In developing countries, cheap imported products can hinder local production and lead to increased unemployment. Global trade can contribute to overexploitation of natural resources and environmental pollution, particularly in the transportation sector, which has significant environmental impacts. Global trade can exacerbate economic inequalities between countries. Stronger countries may gain greater trade advantages, widening the gap between the developed and developing nations. Global trade plays a significant role in the world economy and can create economic imbalances among countries. Some countries benefit more from an export-oriented economic model, while others may become dependent on imports. Here are some balances and imbalances in the world economy created by global trade. Trade surpluses and deficits. In global trade, some countries have trade surpluses, exports exceeding imports, while others have trade deficits, imports exceeding exports. Countries with trade surpluses accumulate more foreign reserves, while countries with trade deficits may deplete their foreign reserves, leading to economic imbalances. Currency valuation differences. Global trade can lead to value discrepancies among currencies. These differences can impact a country's exports and imports, potentially disrupting trade balance. For example, if a country's currency is stronger compared to another country's currency, its exports may decline as its products become more expensive. Trade barriers. Some countries impose trade barriers to protect their economic interests, which can contribute to trade imbalances. These barriers can hinder exports from countries with trade deficits. International trade agreements aim to facilitate trade between countries by reducing or eliminating barriers, encouraging investment, and promoting economic cooperation. However, in recent years, Trade imbalances, intellectual property rights, and protectionist measures in agriculture have sparked debates surrounding trade agreements. One significant trade agreement is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, which was signed by 12 countries but failed to take effect after the United States withdrew from the agreement. Instead, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, was proposed by China to promote trade in the Asia-Pacific region and was signed by 15 countries. RCEP encompasses approximately 30% of the world's population and global trade. However, debates exist regarding these agreements. For instance, China aims to enhance its regional hegemony through RCEP, potentially diminishing the leadership roles of the European Union and the United States. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If there's a specific video you'd like me to make on economic history, don't forget to mention it in the comments section. I wish everyone a pleasant day.
Universal economic history.